Every gun manufacturer does it. They warm up their model that they have on offer and they re-release it like it's a new gun. So Canik recently released the Mete series, and straight from the horse's mouth, I promise you that's how you pronounce it. So the Mete lineup of pistols relaunched what was previously the TP9 series of pistols. Now rebrands can be insignificant, like Glock going from a Gen 3 to a Gen 4, or they can be pretty substantial, like the M&P 1.0, which was just okay, to the M&P 2.0, which was brilliant. So where does the Mete fall on the spectrum? Is it marketing hype or does it deliver? All of that and the correct pronunciation of Canik. Are you ready? Stand by. Welcome back to the Humble Marksman channel. I'm David and this is the Canik Mete pistol. And to my YouTube manual reviewer, this is a gun which I purchased with my own money and looks like this on the manufacturer's website. It is a bone stock gun, and I'm not promoting the sale of regulated goods, and all the filming was done with guns that are multiple safety checked. If you think it's absolutely ridiculous I have to do that to keep monetization on these videos, then go ahead and hit the like button. So moving on from disclaimers, I know the reason you're here, and that is the correct pronunciation of the brand Canik. You're probably subscribed to Forgotten Weapons in the Military Arms channel, and you like to argue in the comments section about whether it's Yannick or Canik. Well, I'm here to tell you straight from the horse's mouth, they have adopted the Anglicanized version of Canik.
Canik or Yannick?
It's Canik.
It is Canik in America.
And I don't mind, yeah. So the region that the gun is made in is the Canik region. So there is the people that want to have the conversation about, there is some merit to that. So Canik, but due to the commonality of the pronunciation, even Canik as a company in Turkey has adopted and embraced the Canik pronunciation.
Okay.
So if you go into the comments and tell me that it's actually pronounced Yannick now, you're wrong, not me. But with that out of the way, we can talk about the Canik Mete. Now, the Mete was released in two different trims. This is the SFT model, which is their 4.5-inch model. They also have the SFX, which is their 5.25-inch model, and previously has been their competition trim model. Is the Canik SFT better than the old version of the guns? Yeah, pretty much in every single way except maybe two, and in proper YouTube fashion, I'm going to put that all the way at the end to keep you watching. But there are two things that were kind of oversights about this pistol. It's still a hugely positive review, so buckle up and I'll tell you why my opinion of this gun is so high. And I'll go ahead and say it now, and I'll support it through what I'm about to tell you. For the $500 price point, and I paid $520 for this in the third quarter of 2021, this is the nicest pistol you can buy for about $500. In fact, if you're searching for a sub $400 pistol, at this point I would say just put your nickels together and wait till you can get one of these or a super quality used gun. And no, YouTube, that's not me trying to sell anybody pistols. It's me putting myself in the consumer's shoes. Get over yourself. So substantiating those claims, since that is a rather lofty claim, how is this gun better than the former TP9 series? Well, first and foremost is the frame. The thing that I didn't really get along with on the older Caniks is the frame. I didn't like the traction. I didn't like the shape of the frame. The magwell was tiny. It had an amazing trigger, but the frame was really kind of suboptimal. They basically fixed most of that. The frame is still kind of small. There's not a lot of space to get your support hand in, so if you have the style of grip where you use the palm of your support hand to make good contact, even the large backstrap, it doesn't really make contact, so it's still a smaller frame. The trigger reach is a little bit short, so if you're looking for like a really long length of pull, then you're gonna have to keep looking. All that to say, I wouldn't let that stop you because everything else about the frame is about as good as it can be. They increased the texture on the grip panels and more importantly on the front strap. Guys, if you're gripping pistols properly, there's two areas that really matter for traction. That is the back strap and the front strap. And the way this gun is set up now, it anchors beautifully because you're using a solid front to back grip, and you can see my other videos on recoil management to see why that is so important. They also recontoured the grip tang, so how the gun sits down into the web of your hand, and well as they relieved under the trigger guard. So the gun sits much lower into your hand and is much more comfortable. They even went further to provide a double undercut, so your support hand can get even higher on the gun. And as a result, the gun just feels like it sits in the hands much better. And that's not to say that the old guns have bad grips, because they're honestly very acceptable to even possibly good, but the new grips are an improvement. And talking about the magwell, there is a lip on the bottom of the pistol, so if your name is Big Johnson Guns and Gear, your pinky will probably make contact with that, but us mere mortals, we're probably not going to get onto that. But more importantly, the magwell has opened up significantly. And you might notice that there is a little threaded hole right there, and that's because they furnish an aluminum magwell in the box that you can install on the gun yourself. And with the magwell installed, this gun is stupid easy to reload. I mean, all day long you can just throw the magazines into the grip. It's not a problem. So if you're an IDPA carry optics shooter, this becomes a very tasty option for carry optics. The controls, as a result of the frame being sort of optimized, are similarly optimized. The reach on the slide release is squared away. Trigger reach is quite good, and getting onto the mag release is not a problem. It is an aluminum mag release with a knurled button, so it is very easy to get traction on and make sure that you're dropping mags even with kind of a dodgy button press. They put these holes in either side of the frame right here that's supposed to have something to do with some kind of holster. I couldn't find any more information on it when I half-heartedly searched Google trying to find more information on it, but possibly at some point in the future there'll be some whiz-bang holsters that interface with these holes on the frame, and that'll be a good thing, but for now it's just a thing. Moving on to the trigger. The trigger has been improved significantly. I know you're probably thinking, well, gee, how could they possibly do that? The old triggers were outstanding, and they were outstanding, but the new trigger is improved, and that's not to say that the trigger's lighter. It's not to say that it's even crisper, because it's not. What it is shorter. The throw of the trigger has been reduced by about 50% from the old model of the TP9s. I have a Canik Elite SC that I used for comparison, and the overall trigger travel has been reduced significantly, so that means the reset has been reduced significantly. This trigger is approaching 1911 trigger, like Gunsmith 1911 trigger level of bonkers. This gun's trigger out of the box is possibly the best striker fire trigger on the market, full stop, at any price point. The only striker fire guns that are comparable to this trigger out of the box are the Walther series triggers. Now, as far as the trigger character is concerned, my trigger pulls at about 4 pounds. It's just kind of somewhere under 4 and somewhere above 4 on a Lyman digital trigger scale, but you have a little bit of tactile feedback, and the trigger is weighted in such a way that when you take the slack out of the trigger, it's very evenly weighted, so you're getting good feedback on your trigger finger, which is important because the trigger brake is pretty light. The trigger face is very broad. It is a plastic trigger shoe, which some people don't love, but the trigger safety is red, so maybe that offsets for that, I guess, I don't know. But it's very broad, it's very easy to get a hold of it and pull straight to the rear. I was shooting this gun very accurately without any acclimation period. It took no time to learn the trigger. When I was shooting out at 25 yards, I was still putting up pretty good groups. You can see here in the footage, I shot at 7, 15, and 25 yards. There were a couple flyers in each because I was shooting my 2011 open gun with a 1.5 pound trigger right before it. So my trigger finger wasn't quite prepped for the trigger, but even still, when I did my part, the holes showed up exactly where they should have. So the accuracy out of the gun is phenomenal. As far as the actual recoil characteristics and all that is concerned, it is still a high bore axis gun. They've done a good job of hollowing out the frame. Like if you look, there's milling in the back of the slide. They've got this large steel piece at the top that can come off for optics, and they have basically cut down the slide any way that they can to take the center of balance as low as possible below the bore line. So they've done a pretty good job of getting the weight down below the bore line. And while it's flippy, it's still very easy to shoot rapidly. And you may notice in the shooting footage that there's a lot of flip in the gun, and that's because I'm shooting NATO loads, because that's what's available, because we have this awesome ammo shortage, which is really great and everyone loves it. The one thing that they did add, which was a stupid superfluous feature that absolutely nobody asked for, is we now have a loaded chamber indicator that pops up. I generally don't like loaded chamber indicators because all they do is smoke the lens of your optic, and any good pistol in the year 2021 should have an optic on it, and this is cut for optics. However, the optic cut is moved so far back from the loaded chamber indicator, it doesn't smoke optics at all. The finish on the slide is quite good. It looks like it will hold up for quite a while. And if you're a Springfield Armory fan, they do have a striker position indicator on the back plate of the gun, so you can see that your gun is cocked. I guess that's a feature people want. And one thing that Canik continue to raise the bar on, which is exciting and kind of strange, is the case game. Now you're like, well, who cares, it's a case, but yeah, except for the Canik case is actually one that you can care about. It's not particularly durable. It's not something I would want to go flying with per se. It's a great storage case. It has foam cutouts for everything that the gun comes with, and what the gun comes with is quite substantial. First and foremost, it's coming with 2 magazines, and now in free states that's going to be an 18 round flush base plate magazine like you see here, and they also have a 20 round extended base plate magazine. It's the same 18 round tube with a +2 plastic base plate on the bottom. That's the way it comes from the factory, YouTube, chill out. There are witness holes all the way down to 18, and the magazines are produced by Metgar, which makes basically the highest quality magazines that you can get. There is an anti-friction coating on the magazines, which is a super premium feature. That's important for a couple reasons. Number one, it'll make sure that your magazines spit out of the gun and drop free, which is nice, and it makes them insert buttery smooth. If you're a competition shooter, that is very important. But more importantly than that, everybody can get on board with is it's anti-friction coated on the inside as well. So if dirt makes its way into the magazine, the follower can still feed bullets straight up and you're not going to get jams inside the mag. So these are super squared away magazines. Also in the box, it's going to come with kind of a lousy outside the waistband holster, but hey, you've got a holster that you paid nothing for straight out of the box. So super feature right there. It comes with all the tools that you will need to take the gun apart to pins and springs. It comes with a punch. It comes with a little miniature version of the gun that is actually a bit driver, and inside the magazine compartment on that bit driver are all the bits that you would need to like remove the optic plate and all that good stuff. It also comes with the standard stuff like the jag and the bore brush and all that kind of stuff, and it also comes with a mag loader, which is serviceable, but it's not an Uplula. So I've said pretty high praise for this, and I absolutely assert that if you're going to spend $500 on a pistol, this is probably one of the ones you should look at first. But they did do 2 things wrong, and we will discuss those now. So first things first, the things that they didn't quite knock out of the park with this model are going to be the sights. It comes with 3-dot sights. They are steel, which is good. So if you're LARPing at the range, and it's got this nice hook and serrations on the front, so you can like rack it off your holster or fence post or whatever else it is while you do your barrel rolls. And basically at this point, the only people who enjoy using 3-dot sights are people who also enjoy telling me about how much better things used to be and how things were so much harder. 3-dot sights are terrible, and I wish desperately that the serrations on the front sight were on the rear of the gun and there were no sights here. Maybe this white dot on the front sight could be a high-vis color, perhaps an orange or a bright green perhaps, and that would be a better setup of sights. But one thing that is really great about these sights is that they co-witness with any optic that you would put on here, roughly a lower third or so. And then that leads me to the other gripe about the pistol, and that is the optics cut. These pistols will only come with 2 optics plates, but hey, they're giving you optics plates, which is a good thing. But it's only the RMRCC, which is a fantastic concealed carry optic or duty use optic, and the Shield RMSC or RMS footprint of optics. And the reason for that is how they have machined the top away from their slides. It comes to a pretty narrow platform, so they've only given you the plates that fit on the platform and that they can use plastic spacers for. They don't give you aluminum plates that, you know, mate onto the gun. They give you plastic spacers that have an excellent fit into the optic cut pocket, that have recoil bosses. You put the optic on top and the screws are threaded through the optic into the slide. So it's about as good a fit as you can get, short of being like direct milled. I did shoot this with a Swamp Fox Sentinel M, which has kind of the biggest window in that class, and it fit fantastically. The sights co-witness well. So while those aren't my favorite optics, it just seems kind of like a miss that you can't put a Hollow Sun on a Canik, because Hollow Sun has been kind of like the value optic brand, and Canik's been kind of like the value pistol brand. I'll put a link to my website where I'll list all the red dots that'll actually fit on the site with some links you can check out. So as we said at the beginning of the video, yes, I think the Canik SFT is fantastic. I think the 4.5-inch model is the one to get instead of the 5.25, especially if you're doing like USPSA shooting, because the gun is super balanced. And at $500, it's one titanically good value. This is a super performing gun. I could conceivably see setting this up in IDPA carry optics trim and just leaving it set up as a gun to go play with. So I'm sure if you're a Canik bro, you've probably watched to this point. So let me know in the comments, are you going to be updating your TP9 series pistols to the new Mete series of pistols? Let me know in the comments below. Or maybe you're one of the people whose feelings I hurt by making fun of how you like to say Yannick. Let me know in the comments if I hurt your feelings there as well. I appreciate you guys. Here's the video on the Canik Elite SC and another video that YouTube thinks you'll enjoy. I appreciate you guys. Catch you on the next one.